Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Strife's Sanctum podcast. My name is Citizen Strife, and no, you're not seeing double. This is a redo of the episode, and I already redid the episode, but my drivers weren't there because I downloaded the drivers, tried to record again, just to find out that not restarting the computer got my old microphone, which sounded like shit, not working. So my old settings from this morning were there while I was recording just now. So hopefully, third time's a charm. With redone vocals via the Focusrite drivers the way they're supposed to be. And I'll find that out as soon as I record this episode. But anyway, as far as anime goes, dubbed versions. So they may or may not be uploaded all the way. You might be ahead of me. You might be behind me. Spoilers for anything if you haven't seen a show or you're behind me, so bear that in mind. I might be an episode, before or after you, but I will talk about my thoughts and where things might be going, or just the general gist of things. But we'll start with Apothecary Diaries, because Apothecary Diaries is awesome. Mao Mao was trying to get some help for Gyokyo's breech pregnancy, and got Liaoman to do... Liaoman hint her foster father, to aid in that effect. But then she got kidnapped, and it turned out to be the lady from the clinic, Shisui, and Suide, who was an older character from, past season, who supposedly resurrected herself. And Mao Mao gets kidnapped and taken to this other city, and, by and large is played fairly straight because, she was kidnapped, but she was kind of let roam free under supervision. So I don't really know where they're going with this just yet, but the envoys are there. You find out that Shisui is Suide's sister. A lot of weird shit's going on. And GC's obviously crazy and trying to figure out where things are going because it's like Mao Mao's helping them follow her. But at the same time, it's not like, other than going on a fucking boat or something, it's like, okay, she was being monitored, but she wasn't being held against her will, mostly. It's weird. I don't know where they're going to go with it. The other thing I noticed was Lacan makes an appearance again in a goofy side thing. And Shisho, who is Lowland's father, finally gets a voice. So maybe Lowland could actually mean something. I keep banging on about it because she showed up all season last season, didn't do shit, and I've been waiting for her to actually mean something, and I'm still waiting. But I give Apothecary the benefit of the doubt. I just wish that character actually meant something. So I hope I'm proven right that it does mean something someday. Black Butler, the Emerald Witch arc. I'm very curious about this one because there's a lot of subterfuge going on and a lot of crazy stuff involving this werewolf's curse and what it could mean and what does mean. Sieglinde Sullivan has taken Sebastian as her butler while Ciel is trying to recuperate from the curse and temporary blindness and just lost mental faculties. And what I saw for the last couple of episodes was a very dark and weird backstory, but I do enjoy it because you kind of need that. You need the show to be a little darker, and I think between the public school arc, in some instances, and this, and the murder at the Atlantic and the circus, they've definitely veered more dramatic, which is cool. Since the show did kind of start very comedic and stayed comedic. But when you notice that 15 years have gone by and now the visuals have definitely changed and it just feels like, I don't necessarily grew up or got more mature, but in a way it also did. There's less of the comedy, even though it's still there. I think it's just less in your face. And it might just be the design choice. And I do think Black Butler is doing very well in there's a lot of little mysteries. Go fucking solve them. Do it. And go. And it's been a success. Another success, which has issues, though, is Devil May Cry 2025. I like it, but I also kind of don't. And I think I'm veering back and forth. And some of my reasons may or may not be the same as others. One of the things that I noticed is this is about Lady more so than Dante. Because, let's face it, Dante is the least interesting thing about his fucking game. Because he does some cool shit, but his storyline is dumb. And he does not care about his story. Because why the fuck should he? It's Dante. He quips over everything. He doesn't give a shit about anything. And he's not supposed to. He's supposed to blow shit up and shoot shit and blow shit up again and shoot it again. And the show provides. Whenever he's on screen, he's got a quip, he shoots shit, and then you learn about Lady. And a lot of people are just kind of like, well, Lady just is stiff and dumb and boring. Where's the interesting one from Devil May Cry 3? Not here. But we might get her. Because this is not meant to follow a certain timeline, so to speak. It's doing its own thing, and her backstory was fucked up orphan life due to a fucked up family, because her dad was dealing with demons and became one and screwed their family up. And I will say that while her interactions with Dante could be better, because she could show a little bit more personality. It seems like every time she deals with him, it's just, oh, I'm gonna stab you with a syringe and you get knocked out and you go into this fucking thing because you're dumb. It's like, I'm waiting for them to kind of break the ice a bit more and not be kind of, maybe it's the kind of Sypha and Trevor thing where they just have to get used to each other. Maybe that's what season 2 is for. I don't know. But this had the Dawn to Dawn thing where the quiet episode with a montage with barely any speaking was the best thing about it. You might have heard of the Evanescence thing overlaying this, but there's a lot of good montages in this episode. Again, this is where Lady, they explore why she went to Darkholme in the first place, why the White Rabbit is the White Rabbit, and how it coexists, and why there's that edge to it for the last couple of episodes. And the last couple of episodes are just a bunch of, fucking crazy, It's Devil May Cry punch-ups and shoot-em-ups and other shit. You know what you're getting. Is it high art? Not really. The worst thing I would say about it would be, other than the Evanescence one that fit, there's always the sense that, you're putting in Limp Bizkit's Rolling, you're putting in Rage Against the Machine, you're putting in whatever the fuck. And then you have this dude running up the stairs while he's trying to go after Dante, and then the song plays, and it's like, dude, whoever's playing that's got some good fucking taste. And I'm like, I get it, but you're going tongue-in-cheek, and then you're going way too fucking far with it, because you're bringing in songs that don't really fit the thing, other than, hey, this is a 90s or 2000s property. Go us. We're cool and edgy from 20 fucking years ago. So it's not high art. The next show is also not high art. It's the unaware Atelier Meister. It's the harem that keeps on growing. And yet I don't hate it. It's one of those shows that veered between, this is really stupid and not doing anything for me, and you know what? I still like it. I don't know why. I love it in spite of itself. And Kurt keeps doing his, I'm a special guy, but I'm not aware of it kind of routine. And then he gets rewarded with these eggs, and he's going to go cook these eggs, and then one of them hatches into a toddler who calls him Dada. And then she has 2 mamas because it's a love triangle. Don't ask me. It reminded me of The Devil's a Part-Timer, and he gets a toddler baby too, and they pull the same thing, except this show went super quick and decided, no, we're going to do it in 7 episodes instead. See how you like that shit. So, okay, we have this girl, this girl, this girl, this girl, this girl, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this girl, this girl, this girl, and now a toddler. Okay, a toddler from an egg. Whatever. It's a pleasant enough show that doesn't take itself too seriously. If it tried to take itself seriously at all, which it only does about a tenth of the time, I would probably hate it. But for what it is, I'm really still enjoying it. Even with the toddler that came from an egg. Don't know. Maybe that gets answered next week. I don't fucking know. I'm watching it tomorrow. The best show of the season that isn't the Apothecary Diaries and Black Butler, it is Kowloon Generic Romance. And it was the episode I just got done watching. And this one was a little bit more about Yao Mei and her backstory, which was kind of neat. But really, it's like every character has this allure to them and chemistry that is just so good because they banter back and forth and it seems genuine and natural. And they're giving enough exposition without giving up too much. I really like that Kujirai A and B are different people because you can tell kind of the tone of voice and the mannerisms that they use are way different. And just the inflections, like the reactions that Kudo gives to both of them are different. And like, are they clones? Are they dead? Are they whatever? Is this the afterlife? Is the, there's so many different like cool things it could be. They give you enough to go on of like what the Kowloon experience really is. They do say it's like something happened 3 years ago. Maybe it got wiped off the map and remade. Maybe everybody else died and then it got remade. How? We don't know. But they're doing enough with the episodes that they're given to filter in the narrative and then still make it about the characters themselves too, so you're not just given plot the whole time. You're given plot and you're given answers to the mystery bit by bit while still making it about the 2 or 3 main leads, which is what I really enjoy. And I think that this thing is going to be like really fucking good by the end of it, as long as it doesn't stub its toe somewhere. The beginning after the end, this was another show that could have gone belly up and hasn't really done it yet, so I don't think it will. I'm kind of annoyed that the main character is still like 5 or 6 and has like the ability to take on this like martial arts elf dude with hundreds of years experience and almost beat him. And it's like the only reason he didn't was because of some physical ailment or something that he was suddenly gifted with because it's some problem he has to have. So now that he becomes an apprentice. But I do like that they're adding a new character in Tessia, who's an elven princess, but she's a little goofy, but, sure of herself, but pampered, but not really. But, there are probably going to be layers to her where she's going to be like working with Art and Arthur, and maybe they'll fall for each other. We don't know. The idea of trying to get back to his family is like, that's a good motivator for this character who's not just OP for the sake of being OP. He was actually trained a little bit, So I don't like the fact that he's OP, but I can understand why and at least accept it. Unlike other instances where I'm just like, kids should not be this OP. Stop it. But the tone of the narrator is what's really holding this thing together because the visuals are kind of lacking and, the story is there, nothing to cry over. And then the Gorilla Gods Go-To Girl. This one is better as a comedy, but it's also worse as a comedy. And I'm trying to explain why. The reason I want to like it is because the Gorilla God can give you the strength and the perseverance and the whatever, and then you have this thing where this person does well in the shooting gallery or this shooting range because they are imbued with this blessing. I said before, like, show off the blessings. Don't overdo it, but show off the blessings that the characters get so that they're like, okay, I understand why they have blessings and why they're powered the way they are. So it gives them some outs as to why, this situation is kind of neat. And then you have a decent enough subplot of romance between the 2 main leads. What I don't like is the overuse of the bullies just being there and doing it way too long, because these bullies should have been fucked off about an episode ago. Not saying they should have existed. I'm saying they should have just never been there in the first place. Sorry, just had an ambulance siren just come off out of nowhere. Am I going to get any episode that isn't fucked up in some way? Otherwise, it wouldn't be me, would it? But yeah, it reminded me of like Fruits Basket and the bully characters who go after one of the somas and like they're intruding on things, and it isn't until like 50 episodes later that they're just like, where the fuck were you when you were doing stupid dances and whining and shit? Where was this? Where was your actual character development? I'm kind of waiting in this show for them to just fuck off in Gorilla God and be like, we don't have the bullies anymore, we're done. But it seems like it wants to overuse the bully thing, even though the main characters told them to fuck off and shown off her powers to do it. They've shown off the other main lead, the dude, Louis, has told the other girls to fuck off and just leave her alone. But they're still gonna fucking do it. And, you know, they do it in this, like, dance setting, and it's really weird. And, like, they set up, like, the bullies also set her up, and, you know, the cliffhanger of the episode is they force her into this fucking, like, crate or whatever. It's, like, loaded with a bomb or whatever the fuck. I'm like, just stop it with the bullies. They're ineffectual, useless characters. I don't need to see them. It's just dumb, you know? So it's just, and yeah, it's just really, oh, sorry, I'm getting help from the people for the podcast to make sure that my drivers were working. Sorry, there we go. Got that done. So those guys were helping me figure out my figuring out my audio bullshit. But having said that, bullies were there just to be bullies, and in a show that's just comedy, like that form of, hey, we're dumb bullies that have no agency other than our own, and ugh, you're stupid or below us. I'm like, I know this is probably for teenagers, but I don't like it. I don't like that you're overusing a stupid, like, cliche that wasn't good the first time. I can't wait for the episodes where they just don't exist. Or, here's a thought, maybe you just stop them being bitches and show them having actual characters. You know, have them have blessings of their own and being like, okay, well, we'll challenge you, but in friendly ways, or we'll help you now that we have blessings, rather than being antagonistic bitches just because they need an antagonist of some form. It's like, it's a lazy antagonist role, which is dumb. So I think it's important that this show understand that it has some good in it, but not to overuse some of the bad, because if it overuses some of the bad, then the goodwill that I do have for it is just going to go away. Now, 3 or 4 episodes in, I'm expecting it not to do that because it's not meant to be a very serious show. So I'm not expecting high art here either. So who knows? I'll probably be riding the fence on this one and being like, I like it enough, but I really wish it would stop. But anyway, sorry for the little distraction and interruption in there a little bit, but I did get the thing that I wanted to get done, and hopefully this recording session is the one that's the good one, the best one with the audio that I wanted. So the main thing here is just getting this done, going to bed, and having a nice night. But I do want to go over the stuff I'm doing next time. Next week, I've already recorded Mega Man X4. So going into June, we have Castlevania Seasons 1 through 4. So everything up to date except Nocturne. And Legend of Zelda, Link Between Worlds. Violet Evergarden. Bravely Second. And going into August, speaking of school, I have a deep dive episode considering the When in Doubt, School arc. Because I was talking about Black Butler. They were doing a lot of stuff on their own, and then last season, public school arc. Magus Bride was doing its own thing for an entire season. School arc. Suikoden 2 has a thing like you're never in school, and then you got to find this lady who may or may not be part of a military coup or some resistance group. They're in a school. They're hiding in a school, you know? So I'm curious to see if there are other instances of when in doubt, school. So, hey, I think that's a good way to give, like, breadth to the characters rather than just being set in a school, because there's so many shows and so many RPGs set in a school that I'm kind of glad that if you're going to do the school thing, you're going to do it later on, because you're already establishing these characters. So it's like, what is CL's reaction to being in a school? What does Sebastian do? What does Chisei do? You know, how does she interact with these? How do they interact with these people? That sort of thing. And that's where my mind is at for that episode. But before I talk too long and get distracted again, I will see you guys next time. Citizen Strife, signing off.